I had everything a man could want. At least, that's what people told me. A beautiful wife, a great career, a house in the suburbs with a neatly trimmed lawn, and a 2-car garage. Our friends called us the perfect couple. Olivia and I had been together since college, and through all the ups and downs, I believed we had something unbreakable. She was my best friend, my safe place, my home. That's why, when the cracks started forming, I ignored them. It started subtly. A shift in how she looked at me, the way she avoided my touch, the forced smiles, the distant eyes. I chalked it up to stress. Work had been intense for both of us, and maybe we just needed time, a weekend getaway, a reset. But love makes you blind, and I had been blind for too long. It happened on a Tuesday, the most ordinary of days. Olivia was in the shower when her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I wouldn't have checked it. I never had a reason to. But something about the way she had clutched it to her chest that morning, the way she had hesitated before setting it down, made my stomach churn. I reached for it. The screen lit up. I can't stop thinking about last night. I need you again. The message was from a number I didn't recognize. I stared at the words, my heart hammering against my ribs. At first, I told myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe it was spam. Maybe it wasn't even meant for her. Maybe... Then another message appeared. When can we meet? I hate sneaking around, but I love what we do together. My mouth went dry. I heard the water turn off. The shower door creaked open. Footsteps. I put the phone back exactly where I had found it and walked out of the room before she saw me. My hands were shaking. I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted to. I wanted to grab her and demand answers. But I knew Olivia. She was sharp. She could lie without blinking. If I confronted her now, she'd twist it around, make me feel crazy, turn it into some misunderstanding. Number I needed more. So, I watched. I noticed how she started dressing up more for work meetings. How she'd come home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. How she'd smile at her phone, then hide the screen when I walked by. I started checking her phone when she slept. The messages were there, hidden under a fake name. Rachel. Rachel was not a woman. He was a man named Daniel, and according to the messages, he had been in my house, in my bed. I nearly vomited. I wanted to scream, to break something. Instead, I took pictures, screenshots of every message, every hotel confirmation, every photo she had sent him. Evidence. I didn't just want the truth. I wanted justice. Revenge isn't about rage. Rage is loud, sloppy, predictable. I needed patience, precision. I started planning. First, I found Daniel. He wasn't some random guy. He was someone we knew, a colleague of Olivia's, someone she had introduced me to at a work party months ago. He had shaken my hand and smiled in my face. I dug deeper. His wife, Emily, was 7 months pregnant. That's when I knew exactly what I had to do. I reached out to Emily. We met in a quiet cafe. She looked exhausted, worried, probably thinking I was about to deliver bad news about her husband. She had no idea. When I showed her the messages, she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat there, staring at the screen, her hands trembling. Then, she looked up at me. "What do we do?" she asked. "Not if we do something." "What?" I liked her immediately. Emily and I planned it down to the second. She told Daniel she had a surprise date night planned. Fancy restaurant, reservations made. He was thrilled. I told Olivia I had a work emergency and wouldn't be home until late. She barely acknowledged it, already texting him. Everything was set. That night, Emily and I sat together in my car, parked across from a cheap motel. We watched as Olivia and Daniel arrived separately, just minutes apart. Emily didn't cry. Neither did I. We waited. An hour passed, then two. Finally, I took out my phone and sent the email. To Daniel's company, his boss, his board of directors, every screenshot, every hotel receipt, every detail of how their senior executive had been conducting business in his free time. Emily sent hers too, to their family, to his parents, to his soon-to-be unemployed wife. Then, the final touch. I sent Olivia a text. Hope it was worth it. Check your email. We watched as their phones lit up at the same time, watched as they read the messages, as their faces turned pale, watched as the reality of their destruction set in, watched as they ran out of the motel, panicked, scrambling. They never saw us, but we saw everything. Daniel lost his job within 24 hours. Emily left him the next day. Olivia came home, her face streaked with tears, begging for another chance. I didn't even let her inside. "Please," she sobbed. "I made a mistake. I love you." I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in months. "You don't love me," I said. "You just lost everything, and now you have nowhere to go." She cried harder, but I didn't care anymore. I shut the door in her face. In the end, I didn't just expose them. I erased them from my life. Olivia moved away. I never spoke to her again. Emily and I stayed in touch for a while, not romantically, just as two people who had survived the same storm. Months passed, then a year. I moved to a new city, started fresh, found someone who actually valued loyalty, honesty. And one day, as I stood on my new porch, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise, I realized something. I was free. And that was the best revenge of all. For weeks after Olivia left, the house felt empty. At first, it was a relief. No more walking on eggshells, no more forced conversations over dinner. But then, in the quiet moments, memories started creeping in. The way she used to hum while making coffee, the scent of her perfume lingering on the pillows, the framed wedding photo I couldn't bring myself to take down. I wasn't mourning her. I was mourning the life I thought we had. I didn't miss Olivia. I missed the illusion of her. But illusions don't keep you warm at night. So, I burned it all. Every photo, every gift, every trace of the life we had built together. I watched the flames consume them in the backyard fire pit, felt the heat on my skin, inhaled the smoke of what used to be us. And when the fire died down, so did the last piece of my love for her. Olivia tried to rebuild. I heard through mutual friends that she was struggling. Her job, the one she had worked so hard to protect, had let her go quietly, not wanting the scandal to affect their reputation. Daniel was jobless, his professional connections severed. Their affair hadn't just cost them their marriages, it had cost them their future. Olivia tried reaching out. The first message came a week after she left. "Please, can we talk?" I ignored it. A month later, "I don't know who I am without you." I deleted it. 3 months later, she showed up at my doorstep, looking nothing like the woman I once knew. She was thinner, paler. Her eyes held a desperation that made my stomach turn. "Ryan," she whispered, her voice shaking, "I just need 5 minutes." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Why?" I asked, my voice cold. She swallowed hard. "I made a mistake. I was stupid. I ruined everything." Her lip trembled. "But I love you. I never stopped loving you." I laughed. I actually laughed. "You don't love me," I said. "You just don't like the consequences of your choices." She flinched like I had slapped her. "I was lost," she said, reaching for my hand. "I was selfish. But I swear, Ryan, I'll do anything." I pulled my hand away, before she could touch me. "You'll do anything?" I repeated. "Then disappear, because I don't love you anymore." Her breath hitched, her eyes filled with tears, but I had no sympathy left. She did disappear after that, and I never looked back. The thing about rebuilding your life is that it doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small moments, like the first time I went to the movies alone and actually enjoyed it. The first time I woke up and didn't think about her. The first time I looked in the mirror and didn't see a broken man staring back. And then, one day, I met someone. Her name was Lauren. She was nothing like Olivia. Where Olivia was cold calculation, Lauren was warmth. Where Olivia thrived on secrets, Lauren believed in honesty. We met at a bookstore, of all places. She was looking for a novel I had just finished reading, and I made some lame joke about it. She laughed, and it wasn't forced. It wasn't a performance. It was real. We started with coffee, then long walks, then late-night conversations that made me forget what betrayal ever felt like. I never told her about Olivia. Not at first. She didn't deserve to carry the weight of my past. But when I did tell her, months later, she didn't pity me. She just took my hand and said, "You deserved better." And for the first time, I believed it. 2 years passed before I saw Olivia again. I was at a small cafe with Lauren, laughing over something ridiculous, when I felt eyes on me. I turned. There she was. She looked older, not just in appearance, but in the way she carried herself. Tired, worn down. She was sitting alone, stirring a cup of coffee she wasn't drinking. Our eyes met. She gave me a small, sad smile, a ghost of the woman she used to be. For a split second, I felt something. Not love, not anger, just nothing. And that was when I knew. I had won. Not because I had ruined her life, not because I had exposed her, but because I had moved on, because I was happy, because finally, she was nothing more than a stranger from a past I no longer lived in. I turned back to Lauren, squeezed her hand, and smiled. And Olivia? She was just another face in a crowded cafe, just a shadow of a mistake I would never make again. And that was the greatest revenge of all.